I felt like I was being flogged with a wet lettuce leaf over the last couple of days when I heard Anthony Albanese talking about the fact that Operation Sovereign Borders is working exactly as intended, when of course we know that last week 2 boats full of asylum seekers managed to make it to shore in Western Australia. They were just a couple of bays apart, about 100 kilometres up from Broome. Now, you and I both know that this happened. Sharri Markson, on her program earlier tonight, says that the government, or at least some people within the operation, were aware of this before you and I were told. Someone who apparently didn't know about this, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
I've been travelling in the car, so I'm not. I haven't been advised about that.
It's amazing, isn't it? This bloke has made it to Prime Minister of the country and he hasn't worked out how to use a mobile phone. I'm assuming he wasn't driving the car. He does have a chauffeur. But even if you do drive the car, you know, these car phone things, I think they've existed since about the 1980s. And my grandfather had one, in fact, when they were first released, and there was only one line and you could pick up this hefty thing and listen to other people have phone conversations.
Caleb, you're missing the point. He was exercising his right to disconnect.
Disconnect,
yes.
That's it.
Tony Burke would have been so proud of the Prime Minister.
Which we now know is law. But the reality is that nearly 40 people managed to make it on shore, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, all men, it should be noted as well. So Operation Sovereign Borders going exactly to plan. Clearly a message has gone out to the people smugglers, and whether this is a result of the fact that all of these detainees were released from immigration detention or another thing, but the message has gone out that, hey, Australia's a bit weak at the moment, you might be able to make it on shore. And lo and behold, they have. If it weren't for someone raising the alarm, and one of these boats rocked up to a remote Indigenous community, and the images of them, you know, sitting around having a barbecue, basically. But if someone hadn't raised the alarm, these people could have been halfway to Wilson's Promontory by today.
It's taken 18 months for the Albanese government to turn Border Force into Border Farce. You mentioned there were 2 boats, but as I understand it, they think there were 2 boats. They're not exactly sure how many boats actually arrived. And not only that, but it was the Indigenous community that informed Border Force where these people made land, where they were camping for 4 days before they were found.
Thanks to their superior tracking skills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, people smugglers clearly have about as much confidence in the government's Border Force protection as we do. They know it's pretty much non-existent now, and all bets are off.
And the fact, what you just touched on there, that we don't know that there was 2 boats, just goes to show how many of these pulled up that we have no idea about.
That's the question, right?
And those people literally have managed to make their way somewhere and just slot right in and hope for the best. These smugglers as well have gotten very wise. So let's say there was 2 boats, so we don't have to talk around in circles. The people smugglers literally told these 39 people, don't go straight to suburbia or anything. Stay here in the bush for 3 to 4 days because that gives us the time to get the hell out of Dodge. That is smart because it's like, if we've managed to deliver you to the main island, then we need time to get out. They'll never be able to track us. Yeah. But the fact that our border security is this weak has got to be alarming every single Australian who's across this headline. Because if you haven't got national security, you don't have any security.
The big thing about this story, I just hope for Anthony Albanese, who couldn't receive that phone call, that he actually managed to get through to Ticketek and get tickets for Taylor Swift, because that's the really important thing. If only we had a decent Prime Minister like, you know, Margaret Thatcher.
Those who are illegal immigrants will be returned, and it is customary international law for countries to receive their own immigrants back into their country. And if the right honourable gentleman is suggesting that we ever get to a position when you cannot return illegal immigrants to their country of origin, then he is proposing international chaos.